Welcome back to How to Move a WordPress Blog. This is Michael Jansen. In the first video, we ran through the things you need, the steps that we're going to be covering, how to prepare the blog, and now we're going to do export database. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is log into your old hosting account and navigate to your database administration control panel. This is typically PHPMyAdmin. It's going to ask you for your username and password. If you don't remember what it is, you can actually FTP into your website, grab the WP config file, download it, and it's in there. So I've already got it there. I'm going to paste it in. And this is pretty much what the control panel looks like. It depends on the web host which version of PHPMyAdmin they're using. They all look a little bit different, but this is typical. So I'm going to go find michaeljansen.com. Here it is. The Michael Jansen database. These are all the tables in the database. And to export them, first thing you want to do though, glance over here at the size column, because it's going to show you which tables have the most data. Typically, it's the comments and posts tables will have the most data. Sometimes the options too, but usually the comments and the posts. On this example though, there are a couple of old tables in here that I recognize from plugins that I ran a long time ago, StatPress and What's Up. These were analytics, web analytics plugins, and they use a lot of database resources and they create a lot of records in the database. So they make very large files. When I export this, I'll skip those. The rest of these, I think I'll just go ahead and grab and transfer over. So I go up here to the top to export. And I'm going to click on Custom. If your screen doesn't have Custom and it just shows the tables in the upper left, that's fine. Don't worry, it's an older version. And I'm going to shift click on this first little group. Instead of selecting Select All, if I select All, it's going to download all the tables into one file. And if that file is too big for me to upload into my new web host, and there's often a limit, then I'm not going to be able to upload that file. It's going to be very hard. So instead, I'm going to chunk up the database into multiple files. And because I know the comments tables are typically fairly large, I'm going to group them together. If you have an extremely large number of comments or an extremely large number of posts, do these tables individually. In this case, I know this site doesn't. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab those. And you don't really need to change any of these other options. It's basically saying I'm going to save the output to a file. It's going to name it. You don't really need to change any of this other stuff. And click Go. That's downloading the file to my downloads folder. Okay. Scroll back up, grab the next batch. Okay, I think I'm going to grab them all down to before posts. I'll do posts in a separate file. Scroll down, click Go. I'm going to open my little downloads folder. Yeah, that was fast. Great. Now I'm going to do my posts and post meta. Again, if you have an incredibly large number of posts, do post meta and post separately. Open my little downloads folder or window. Great, that was only 2.8 megs. This is not a very big blog. Okay, ratings I think is okay. Not sure what that is. StatPress I am not going to download. Now I'm option or command clicking, so I can just pick the ones I want. Terms, you want that. Users, meta. I don't want this What's Up stuff, so I think I'll just go ahead and skip that. Click Go. my downloads window. Okay, it's all downloaded. Now, for those of you that have extremely large tables, let me show you how you would deal with that. So let's imagine that this file was, 40 megs or something. It was just enormous. What you want to do is cut it in half manually. And the way you do that is, so let's say it's only 20 megs, just for argument's sake. And that your upload limit was 16 megabytes on your new host into MySQL or through PHPMyAdmin. So that means you pretty much have to cut this thing in half-ish in order to have two files that are, less than 16 megabytes. Right? They'd be about 10 each, right? So as long as you're ballparking somewhere between 10 and 16, it's under 16, you're probably cool. So in other words, this is not an exact science. That's what I'm trying to get at. So what you do is you pull down about halfway. So you're in a text editor. And what you want to do is find the beginning of a query. And it's pretty easy to spot. It usually has something like insert into. Okay? That's the beginning of a query. So everything from this point down to the bottom, and I'm going to shift click because I highlighted up there. I've now highlighted the bottom portion of the SQL code. Because I'm at the beginning of a SQL query, I can cut it here. And I can open a new file and I can paste it in. And now I can save this as, let's say I call it part B, right? And call the first part A, or whatever the heck it was called in the first place. And then that way you just cut one of these big files in half, and now you can upload the two halves of this one big file without having any trouble. So now that I've finished exporting the database, I can go back to my blog's control panel and turn back on or reactivate all the plugins. In the next video, I'll be preparing the new host.